CEO of Yano Strategic Solutions. Did I get it down?
Yano, RYNO, whatever.
Yano, I'm sorry, dude. See, look at that. RYNO Strategic Solutions. But you got a really cool last name. Maybe that's why it stuck with me. But so Chris Yano, he's a business owner, a maverick, right? You're kind of an anomaly, man, and founder of the OG. Really, marketing, first marketing coming up first, but OG marketing company for the trades. And I'm just kind of butchering all these words here, dude. But I'm excited to have you here because Chris is someone who I've got to know over the years. Successful business owner, family man. He's doing big things out there in Arizona. Every time I go on like your feed, you're at an Arizona game, like Arizona Cardinals game. You're traveling, you're doing all this cool stuff with your family. And I admire that, man, because a lot of the content I see of you on social media, you're with your family and you guys are doing all these amazing things together. And honestly, man, when I think of business or making money and having success, it's so we can create those memories with people we truly love and care about. And also that's why I'm such a proponent of health and fitness and the things I teach, because you don't want to make all this money and have status or success, and then you can't really enjoy the people that you're with. Like you can't enjoy the times that you've carved out for yourself. And so Chris has been crushing workouts with Unstoppable 365. He's getting his health dialed in. Dude, you're looking like a beast, man. And we were joking before we started the podcast. One of the first things I heard from you when you started doing the workouts is like, oh man, like my elbows are all beat up. I've been doing bench press every day. Right. So determined, but you just needed the right plan and strategy to follow. Right. And so why don't you take me back, man? Like, where did you grow up and what was your introduction into the marketing world? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. First off, thanks for having me on. It's this last year has been pretty awesome on this journey with you guys. So thanks for that. And I'm excited how it's kind of played into the end of the story, but back to the beginning. Yeah, man, like I grew up in Indiana. That's where I was born and raised. And I, grew up on a big old corn and soybean farm. So you kind of learn hard work, as a kid. Like you have work ethic, whether you like it or not, you're doing it. So there's no like baling hay, that type of stuff. I know you're a West Coast guy, so you don't know nothing about this, but we used to do detasseling. Detasseling was you go down think about how big cornfields are. You walk down every row of corn and you pull the tassel off the top of every corn stalk. All right. So that was a job you could get paid for, and it was terrible. But hard work is something I kind of learned young. But as far as starting my own business, that was not on my radar at all when I went to college. I was an athlete. I wrestled, I played soccer, and I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do in college, to be honest with you, except for partying. I was really good at that, and I was. I've always kind of had like the social, like the charisma, going out, talking, make friends anywhere I go. So like I kind of knew where my skill was. But I didn't know like sales was a thing. I'm talking like college. I didn't know sales was a thing, marketing is a thing, none of those things. Like I barely passed school. But yeah, man, I think when I did realize I wanted to start my own marketing company, it was because I had, I'm gonna date myself, dude, so don't laugh. I can see you. I used to work for the Yellow Pages. It was like my first sales job, like selling Yellow Pages, which was good in a way because I learned so many businesses, but it was also awful. But growing up, in a farming community, I really kind of took to the blue collar community, the trades. But they were like my people, I guess, so it was easy for me to talk to those kinds of companies. And so I was successful there. And then really when the evolution of the internet, like internet marketing started happening early in like 2004, 2003, 2004, 2005, I picked up on it right away. I loved it. So that kind of set me down a path. I went to go work for a company, that was doing it to kind of cut my teeth. I didn't like how they were delivering to the client, and I was a person who had the relationship with the client. So I was told my wife, I was like, listen, I think we can do this on our own. We stepped out in 2007, started doing it on our own. I would say technically RYNO was established in 2008, but that's only because I didn't know you had to actually like register the business name in 2007. So I was just out like selling stuff and doing it. And somebody's like, hey, like, actually have to register this business and like pay taxes and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So really we started in 2007, but the trades were our focus because again, that's kind of where, my niche was. And like, because I didn't know, it was just like, hey, if we only worked with HVAC companies or plumbers every single day and doing digital marketing, like we should be the best at it. Like we should be like, nobody should beat us. And as far as I know, there was no other company who was solely focused on just like HVAC companies or plumbers at that time. There were companies who did that, but they covered lots of different verticals, right? I was just hyper focused on this one or two. And that set us down the path, and that was 2008. And now here we are all these years later doing the same damn thing, except, last year we finished just under $93 million and 250 plus employees and still focused on trying to make the trades better.
Dude, that's impressive. Because I opened up and butchered your company name, I said Yano Enterprises instead of RYNO. I was looking at your shirt right now. I'm like, well, they're kind of similar, like Yano, RYNO. How'd you come up with the name?
Yeah, so that's actually a common mistake that you made, so don't feel bad. Because it actually is a version of my last name. It's just missing the A.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe I'm kind of dyslexic or something too.
Well, and I do also have Yano Enterprises and the Yano family group. We have a family business, a family, group as well. So maybe you saw that somewhere. I think we may have even talked about it, but so it's not uncommon to make that mistake.
So where'd you get the name RYNO?
Yeah, man, it's not a great story, honestly, but I won't tell it. Like it was, the name of the company was originally called Brickyard Marketing, which being from Indiana, the nickname of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is something that I love. I used to race, was the Brickyard. It's called the Brickyard. And so I thought, man, when I'm starting my company name, I want people to know that I'm local. So I came up with the name Brickyard Marketing so they would know I'm a local marketing agency. Because if you think back in like 2007, like it was still kind of really new and people were uncertain, about this marketing and websites and, internet marketing websites and stuff like that. So I thought, well, at least I can alleviate the concern that I'm not a local company, right? So they're not going to get taken advantage of. And especially in the trades, like these guys are, fixing toilets and they're fixing furnaces and air conditioners, and they definitely aren't super savvy, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to go and talk to them about this mysterious internet stuff. They at least need to know I'm a local guy. So, and then we, once we kind of transitioned and grew the business, the very first manufacturer that brought us on board was Carrier Corporation, which is headquartered in Indianapolis. It brought us in as a preferred vendor of theirs early. So we started working with a lot of HVAC contractors. Well, that started to, bleed outside of Indiana. And then we started making all the way to the West Coast and working with some of the contractors out, on the West Coast. So I'm like, Brickyard Marketing makes no sense to any of these people outside of the state of Indiana. So we went through a transition of a name change, and we were just trying to think. And I thought, man, I'd really like to use some sort of an animal or a mascot or something like that to, and we started literally, it's like a Friday and we're sitting there and we pop a Corona in my office, in Phoenix at the time, because we had transitioned back to Phoenix. And I was like, RYNO, like a rhino is a really cool animal. It's like the unicorn of the jungle, right? It's got a big old horn. It's got thick skin. Rhinos don't go backwards. They only go forward. Like I was just trying to think of all these things. And I was like, but we're not going to spell it RHINO. We're going to call it RYNO, which at the time it is, I had a partner who we since bought out a while ago. His name was Ryan. Right. And my last name is Yano. So we thought, let's just put the mixture of our two names together and we can still be a RYNO, but we're going to call RYNO. That's literally how we came up with the name of the business was just like that.
Yeah. So that makes sense. It wasn't entirely random, right? There was something there. So I want to know about growing up in Indiana, because you had told me that before and I forgot. And then when you said a certain word a moment ago, I'm like, oh yeah, I could hear that Midwestern accent a little bit. But I can imagine growing up on a farm like that and what were some of the values that you feel you developed doing that hard work that carried over into business that helped you?
Yeah. Did you think mental fortitude early on, it is, you have no choice. So one way or another, I had to do it. And so I'm like, well, I might as well change the way I'm thinking about it because I got to do this no matter what. And so I was just trying to
do that. That's a really good point, because that's one of the things I always seek to help people do is shift their mindset and perspective. Because you either remove yourself from a situation or you change your perception of it, right? That's how you don't become a victim of circumstance and you can leverage various situations in life. Do you remember at a young age, like having to do that? Like, do you consciously remember that? Or was it just kind of to get through the day? It's something you naturally start doing.
I'd love to say I consciously did it, but I did not. It was
Yeah.
just like you get a list of chores you got to do and they got to be done. And if they don't, you get in trouble. So there's consequences, right? So the consequences drove me to saying, okay, well, I got to do these no matter what. And I'm not going to say I loved it. I didn't love it. But I do know that it was kind of starting to build that work ethic into me, right? And it was starting to build some mental fortitude into me. And because there was a time when you're doing it, when you're just trying to figure out, like, how can I do this and like it, like, or at least pretend that I like it, like just trying to talk myself into getting through it, and it could be something as simple as mowing the yard because your yards are not small and it's like a push mower, right? Like it's not like out here on the West Coast, like we had acres to push mow. Like that takes a long time.
Yeah.
And
Were your parents really strict with you?
I wouldn't say that my parents were really strict. It was just like expected of you. Like my mother grew up on a farm, and it's like, so it was just expected of you, and you didn't want to. I didn't want to get in trouble, and I wanted to be able to have my freedom, right, to go and do things. If you don't do the chores, you don't do it. So to me, it was just kind of like built into my autopilot. Like these are the things you have to do.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to a lot of people that grew up on dairy farms or just farms in general, like you're describing, and they all have a really strong work ethic, and a lot of them have really strong like ties to family, like those values and kind of the attitude that you're describing. Like, hey, the work has to get done, so let's try to have the best attitude possible and let's get it done. Which I think is super important to instill into children. And the reason I asked about your parents, I was just curious, like your parenting style versus the way you were brought up, and we can get into that when we talk about your family.
Yeah.
But okay, so you go off to school and you're good like in social settings, maybe chasing girls, making friends, whatnot. Probably like a lot of young guys, school like reading and studying at that time might have not been as enticing for you, but it carried over. It sounds like into sales and being you were ambitious, and I can only imagine back then, like out of all people to try to convince that internet marketing was a good idea, like blue collar business owners, right? Like I could just imagine guys back then, like wearing jeans and all dirty and stuff. They've been in attics or they've been, searching for the HVAC units. So you were doing that and you were having success. And I'm curious, like, then what brought you to Arizona? Because now you're in Arizona in the Phoenix area. That became your HQ. How far into business did you make that move and why?
Yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that back up because I skipped over a pretty important chunk. I didn't, I went to college for 4 years to get an associate's degree. So for most people, an associate's degree takes 2 years. So if you've ever seen the movie Van Wilder, I was kind of like Van Wilder. And I got an associate's degree in criminal justice. And then like maybe 2 weeks after I was out of college, I got a DUI. And that scrapped that real quick. So like I made my parents super proud at that point. But
what did you want to be? Did you want to be in law enforcement, like a DA?
At least I thought, but I wanted to be in law enforcement in Indiana. But so here's the connection to Arizona. I leave college in late '99, right at the end of the year, and my grandpa, retired farmer, was a snowbird. So he would go back and forth between Indiana and Phoenix. So I flew out there and visited him when I was like 16 because he flew us grandkids out to come and visit and see it. And I was like, this place was so like foreign to me that I was like, I've never been further west than like Illinois at that point. So I was like, wow, like this place is pretty amazing. Like when I leave college or whatever, when I'm grown up, I'm moving straight to Arizona. And that's legit what I did. I just picked up, moved straight to Arizona and tried to figure it out. And which is crazy because like I had no like real plan. Just like move there, I didn't even get like an apartment. I got like those where you can rent like a room for like a month at like the, kind of like a motel.
How old were you at the time?
I was like, 20.
Yeah. Well, people like when you tell that story, most people be so terrified to do that. But if you're going to do it, that's the best age. Didn't have kids, probably little responsibilities. Like I love that, man. I love that. It crossed like halfway across the country. And just, you either have to figure it out or you're going to have to go back home and then.
I think some of this has to do with like, I mean, and again, I hope this is actually appealing to someone. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I never had a plan. Like I just was like, have my mind set on, I'm going to move and just like, something's going to work out for me. Like, I think one gift I've been given is, I'm really good at doing the work to figure out the things I need to figure out to get to the goal I want. And I think a lot of this happened for me during high school. Like when I was in wrestling, it's a perfect example. I was a great wrestler. And I come from a very, very small school. But we always had a good wrestling team, like a bunch of farm boys could wrestle. And you learn such like discipline, in wrestling, and you're on a team, but really it's just you on the mat, and the outcome of your match is based upon what you put into preparing for it. And I wanted to win. Like I did not want to lose. And, I figure like, hey, if I could get out of doing all this work at home because I'm actually at school training, I would much rather be at school training with the teams or doing whatever than being at home and doing any work. So like it's hard work either way. So I might as well pick the hard work that's going to give me something great versus, going home and doing hard work because it's a chore. So that kind of like started to set the tone for me as I've recognized later on in life, like, oh man, I really kind of see the trajectory and how it took off. I didn't see it then. It was just a means to like, well, either way is going to be hard. Let's just do the thing that I enjoy. And but that really set the tone. I had a great wrestling coach who today is still one of the most influential people in my life. But it kind of put my work ethic and my discipline and my need to achieve a goal all in align with one another. And so I knew I had that in me, but I still am like, you get to college, it's your first time having freedom. And because I was very outgoing always, I joined a fraternity. That was amazing and a mistake simultaneously, because once I joined that, really all academics and everything else were done. Like it was just now it's time to party. But once I got out, and I had to go to Arizona, I kind of reverted back to like, well, I guess I got to start figuring some stuff out. Like I can't, I got a month, to go find a job and like to figure things out. And this is going to be a crazy part of the story. And I don't know how to explain it because I'm not a psychologist, but when you get to Arizona or you go to anywhere, you leave your home state where you've been your entire life, you go to someplace completely different where no one, right? Like I guess I knew my grandpa, but he lived in the retirement community and was a snowbird. So, you latch on to people that you meet. I met somebody who had become a good friend of mine, and he was a bull rider. He was like doing bull riding. So I was like, bull riding, that's pretty badass. Like I grew up around animals my whole life. Like bull riding sounds cool. I bet you I could be good at it. Like I'm a thrill seeker. So I literally started going and doing this bull riding thing with him. It was a bar where they had bull riding and you could win money. And I was like, this is great. Like I can go and do this and I can win money. Like this seems like a good idea. So I went out and rode a bull. Like the first time I almost covered it for 8 seconds and I was scared to death. But then I started learning like, oh, there's like there's a skill to this thing and I have good balance. And I was like, oh, I should be able to pull this thing off. I was a good wrestler, had good balance. Like I'm not afraid. And I started getting decent at it. So I spent 2 years on the Pro Rodeo Cowboy Association circuit, bull riding.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Hardly any money. I won 3 rodeos in 2 years. By the way, that's not good ratio. And bull riding. And basically you just get in a bunch of fights, you blow your money, and like you go to the next rodeo. Like so.
Who are you fighting?
You fight other cowboys. Like everybody wants to fight. Everybody's a tough guy. Okay.
What, like after the rodeo and you go drinking or during the rodeo?
You go to the bar and somebody,
yeah.
And like everybody's a tough guy. You're bull riders. Somebody always runs their mouth and then nobody wants to be like, back down. And there's always a fight.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Did you ever get like knocked out or injured riding a bull?
I've never been knocked out. Like I've been in some pretty gnarly fights, but I've never been knocked out in a fight. I got knocked out by.
What about the bull though? What about the bull riding?
I broke my sternum, bull stepped on my chest and broke my sternum. So if you ever look at my pictures, you'll go now. When you go back, you'll look at my before and afters. Yeah. If you look at my right pec, you'll notice it looks visibly different on the inside. It's because that sternum got broken. The bull stepped right on me and smashed it.
How was that like the worst pain ever?
That was when I was done. I called it quits then. Like it was awful because you can't.
I can imagine that feels like your chest is just you're getting crushed. Like that's
It
where your
was,
lungs are.
yeah, and like you kind of get a little bit of a panic, and
Yeah.
once I healed from that, it was like, I need to like go do something real with my life, and that was kind of what set the tone for me. So, but now
So
you go
that
back
was like
and see it.
so that was like 2000. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. And when he's referencing the before and after, because Chris is getting shredded, right? He's getting jacked and shredded. So, for Unstoppable 365, we do before and afters. Wait till like watch probably another 90 days. People are like, damn, dude. As long as you stay consistent with what you're doing. And we'll get into that, but I'm curious. So that was like 2007-ish, or was that
No, that was like still early. That was 2001. So it
okay.
was, yeah.
So
So
you were in Arizona for like 5 or 6 years before you really started getting serious about the business itself.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago, right? When you actually had to start at an LLC or whatever you did back then.
It's been 8 years. Yep.
And now you said this year, maybe last year, you did 98 million. Like for some people that.
Yeah, just under 93 million.
93. I can't talk today. I'm getting all my numbers and words wrong. 93, 98, they're both big numbers when it comes to the million. I mean, but that's an incredible journey, dude. So like, how did you do that? How did you go from riding bulls and fighting at night, then to getting serious about internet marketing and scaling your business to this magnitude? Like that's an incredible run.
Yeah, listen, like my this is one of those awesome scenarios where I met my wife, and my wife now, we've been married almost 20 years. And she, our skills complemented one another. So all the things that I was good at, she wasn't, and all the things that she's good at, which is far more than me, I wasn't good at. So like when we put this business together, it really worked well. So anybody who knows her and understands the real success in this business of RYNO relies on her. Like she's the backbone of the business. I'm over sales marketing. She's over everything else. But we scaled it the right way. We never chased the dollar, number one. So we never said, oh, I can't wait to be $1 million company. I can't wait to be a $10 million company. We really chased, you put the employees first. And if you put the employees first, they'll take care of the clients. And this is this beautiful, the clients, will continue to stay and we'll keep growing and we'll build a reputation. And we had this saying, reputation over revenue. And if you just focused on doing good by the staff, and they would take care of your clients, and I would keep chasing like, hey, how do I keep getting better and better on behalf of these contractors who were relying on me to help scale their companies? Like those are human beings who are expecting me to help them grow their business. So I could either hurt or help their companies. I took that very personal. And we built that culture into the business and scaled it. And, by the time we brought on a private equity partner in 23, we had grown the company big enough to we're kind of like, we got to be responsible with this. Like we want to keep going, but we might need some help on how to get it from, 30 to a 60 to a whatever $1 million company. We're going to need some people that might be smarter than us to figure it out, or so we thought. So really where the big scale started coming in is once we brought on a private equity partner. There was a sister company of ours called Blue Corona that was also the same size as business as us, but even actually maybe a hair larger, who had been in the trades a long time, just like us. And we ended up merging them into RYNO. So we immediately we double in size, and we're all kind of getting bigger. So the reason we started to see such substantial growth is because of, we started combining businesses. So that wasn't straight organic growth. Like we had good organic growth, but it wasn't straight. So there were some acquisitions that were done in there to get us to the 93 number. But what we realized today is like, we could totally run this business. Like we could have done it all along, but you don't know what you don't know. I learned so much these last few years of working with private equity companies, and I have some fantastic buddies that too. See, Tommy is one of my closest buddies, and we all have a bunch of behemoths that are friends of mine that we get to bounce ideas and stuff off over. So I just, I know so much more today that I can help scale these things. But what it really boiled down to, Sean, was we were good, like good people. We really cared about our reputation and doing things right. We were resourceful. We were never afraid to spend money to make sure that everybody had everything that they needed to be great. in here on behalf of our customers, and we always gave back. So every month we would take one Friday off, and we would pay every employee to go do community service, and to give back. Right? We wanted to do good, and because I believe that the good Lord giveth and the good Lord taketh away. Right? So if I just continue to give, like, I will continue to be blessed. And so once you sell to private equity, now you become an investment, and that thought process changes a bit. So there's a 2-year stint there where we're trying to learn, like, how do we navigate this as no longer the primary owners of this, and now just investors in it. So, but that's where the biggest growth happened. I don't want the listeners to think, or those watching to think like, oh my God, they took this thing, from 30 to 90 some odd million organically. It's not how that went down. Like, we did scale organically, but we built that through acquisition.
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's still very impressive, and so it sounds like, how many years were you, and what's your wife's name again? Anna?
Yep.
So you two were like the foundation of this thing, right? And obviously you got a lot of great people around you, as you alluded to. But how long were you building the business before you had those acquisitions or PE got involved?
Yeah, from 2008, so really till 2024. So like from 2008 to 2024. And I think you've interviewed another key player in this company for for us along the way, who's been with us like 13 years, is Mike Vanitas.
Yeah.
And he's been with us a long time, and so he was a part of this, a big part of this journey too. But
Mike is a great guy.
We had good people, we got good leaders, we treated everybody right, so like they wanted to run through walls with us, like we were doing this stuff together. And so half the battle is getting great people.
Yeah, obviously you have to have a good idea, a good product, but I want to touch on that because I think leadership, man. You want to recruit and attract the right people, but then how do you keep them motivated, inspired? Like, you want to attract A players, but if you have employees that are too ambitious, eventually they're going to leave and do their own thing potentially. You want to find that right fit, It's like, what was your approach to making sure your employees were getting everything they needed from you, and keeping them just like motivated, inspired to because it sounds like you've created a great culture. How did you go about that personally?
Yeah, I think, and I've had these conversations a few times because as you get bigger, it gets more difficult. But I kind of at least give you the foundational stuff that you could do to say 100 employees. We just stayed really involved, and we did team builders. We would do quarterly team builders. Like, we have people, we're not everybody was in office. There's people in different states.
Yeah. So what do those team builders look like?
The team builder, you fly everybody in quarterly, and we have what's called a good times committee, and it's employees who decided themselves, to join it, make their own little team to create whatever the event is that we're going to do for the team builder and whatever activities we're going to do along with it. But the point is, bring everybody in so we can all be together, and that way the people we haven't seen, in person, we can say, oh, hey, how's your wife, how's your husband, how are your kids? Oh, hey, I saw the picture on Facebook where you're doing X, Y, Z. We could just have like a meaningful conversation with them and let them know, like, hey, we care. Besides an email, right, or a Slack message at the time, or like a text message, like just like
or a gift card or a gift card or something.
Oh God, like true meaningful conversation. So that's one piece of it, because you can give them things like benefits, or raises and stuff like that. But to me, that's like, it's got a short shelf life. Yeah. You need to like really care about these people, and they need to, and like genuinely, and then feel that. But if you do all of those things and you feel like you're paying them like what they're worth, and you're continuously putting into them, we would give them budget to go and learn a new skill within their job to make them better. Because the better they are for themselves, well, they become more valuable. And the better they are for our customers, which means it's better for us as a business. We felt like, well, we're just going to keep pumping money into these people, figuring out where they want to go. How do we help them get there? What training do they need or skills do they need to get there? And then one cool little thing that we did was we gave a Misogi benefit, which there's no way you've ever heard of it before. It was called a Misogi. And I learned this from a dude named Jesse Itzler back in like 2019. Who, if you know who Jesse is, I think you might know.
He's legit, man.
So went to Jesse. We went and met with Jesse. I took my entire executive team, went to Jesse's event in Georgia. It was just like a small group of us. And he was talking about this Masogi thing. I was like, this is really cool. And what it is it has nothing to do with the business whatsoever. It has everything to do with them as human beings. And basically would say, hey, here's $1,000. Go and have an experience. And that experience needs to be something that you'll never forget that year. Like that's one of those things you're like, oh man, this year I went skydiving, or oh, this year I went and backpacked, the Grand Canyon, or like the one thing that's like a major experience, and we would give them $1,000 to go do it. So we poured into them personally too.
Yeah. And doesn't it have to be something, because I've heard that term. I've actually heard Jesse talk about it.
Yeah.
Isn't it something that's also supposed to be very challenging? Like a marathon, or like something that gets you out of your comfort zone, I guess.
It could be. It doesn't have to be. That's the way he presents it. Yes.
Yeah.
For us, it was just, we want it to be, it's got to be big enough that it's something where you're like, you will not forget that you did that this year, or that particular year.
Well, that's really cool. And for anyone listening, whether you own a company or you just want to get more out of life, I think we should all strive to do at least one thing like every year, like that, like a bucket list item that we'll never forget. If you've never been skydiving, you've wanted to, go do that this year. If like you want to go, for me, I'm in California, so the tallest mountain here is Mount McKinley. Like a lot of people like to summit mountains, but stuff like that I think is really cool. And I'm also a fan of Jesse Itzler's is it the Big Badass Calendar, the year-long calendar?
Yeah, big ass calendar, yep.
Where you schedule stuff out for the year. And we're talking about being intentional here. But the thing that stands out to me the most, and this is what I gather from a lot of great leaders, is investing in the human being, not the employee, not the salesperson, not their job title, but them as a human being. And there's a study that was done during the Industrial Revolution called the Hawthorne effect. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they're studying factory workers to see, hey, how can we get the most out of our employees? Like, how can we get the most productive workers possible? And they did these test groups. One of the group got like extra time off. The other group got more money. And the third group got more attention from their superiors. And they were the group that outperformed the other three. And so the research showed that when you invest in human beings and they feel like you care about them, like they matter, and they're a part of, something bigger than just the task or the hourly wage, they'll naturally go above and beyond in the work that they're doing. And that's what you're describing right now, is like investing in your people in such a way where they want to make you proud almost, and they take ownership of whatever it is they're doing. So I think that's really cool. And I think probably a lot of companies, especially like bigger corporations, like think about the massive corporations out there, right? Like they lose sight of that. And then it's just another number. It's just another person, a cog in the wheel.
Yep.
But it sounds like that's what's made your organization so special over the years, is that culture you've created, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And, but man, it was very intentional, right? And culture is one of those things that when it's big, it's hard to change if you're trying to change it. So it's just good to do it early on. But for us, it was easy because it was just genuinely who we were as human beings. Like we wanted to help people. And that was what we focused on. And you know how people will say, oh, it's, clients first and then your employees. And we were like, no, it's not. Like, I understand what you're trying to say, but can't do it.
When you said it and described it, it makes perfect sense. Like if your employees are super fired up and they're trained properly and they're just excited about what they're doing, that's going to spill over into the fulfillment of your clientele. So I love that. I love that, man. And this is something we were talking about before we started recording, but I want to know about like how you kept your mindset in the right place as you've grown, because I can only imagine with the acquisitions and the numbers that you're doing, you've experienced some adversity and stress along the way. And I think you alluded to some of the medals and some of the stuff hanging up behind you. So let's talk about that, man. Like how important to you is, well, first of all, what do you do now and then in the past to keep yourself in the right mindset? Like, I know you got those core beliefs, you have a good upbringing that's instilled in you discipline and work ethic, but have there been times where you've been really stressed out on this journey? And if so, how do you navigate those times?
Have there been times I've ever been stressed out on this journey, Sean? It's been 18 years, bro.
I want to know, like, you don't have to give specifics, but because here's the thing, man, like I work with business owners, and as guys get older, and they're not taking care of their health, or maybe like they used to drink sometimes or smoke or whatever. Like, I get it. Sometimes when you're stressed out, you go have a drink and it helps alleviate it. But over time, it doesn't typically make you a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And as you get older, it starts to kind of chip away at that potential a little bit. So yeah, what have you learned as far as like stress management, being a visionary, being the entrepreneur and business owner that you are, just about the importance like taking care of yourself on your journey?
Yeah, no, and it is a good question. And I think, I'll just kind of be really raw with you. I probably made the mistake too many times of not being more intentional about fixing the problem. Like if I'm stressed about something, I'd rather just work my way through it and not think about it. Because I can work my way through anything because it distracts my brain, and which is a very bad habit to do. I didn't know it then. I actually just thought, I'm like, it's like avoiding, your problem, because there was probably something broken that I could have fixed had I just focused on it. That would have allowed me to not to be so stressed out. And anytime you grow or have fast growth, it's stressful because things are changing. They have to change, and I can't do everything anymore, or Anna can't do anything anymore. So you have to delegate. And when you delegate, you have to be able to trust that the person you're delegating to can do it, at least 80% as good as you're doing it, because you got to be able to let go a little bit. And then they have to manage people. And then it's like, now when you have a lot of people, you get nervous about, is everybody being taken care of? Like, and then not everybody's going to be happy in the company when it gets bigger, and you can't solve everybody's problem. Right. And so you got to get used to that. But when you're scaling and growing a company, when you're in a position like I'm in, even before we brought on a private equity partner, like we were a big business. And by the time something got to me, well, nobody's bringing me great problems to solve, right? Like I get like the worst problems to solve. Like it's a really mad client about X, Y, Z. And if it got to me, that means it's in a really bad spot. And you kind of become a firefighter on the daily, and it's not because we were intentionally, did a bad job on a customer account, but there's human error, right? So it's easy to get stressed out if you get bombarded with those. But here's what I learned over time. It was, I had to just be at peace with, okay, let's set the situation aside. I learned a lesson that said, no matter how far removed this situation is from me and the scaling of this company, I had to look and say, what's my role in this? Like, was it because I put the wrong SOP and put a process in place? And if I'd have fixed that process better, that situation wouldn't have happened all the way down the line. Like, that's the way I'm trying to think, is like, oh, none of this was intentional. And the client's only handling it the best way they know how to handle it. They might have zero training on how to handle conflict resolution or X, Y, Z, or they just don't know. So I almost had to like flip my brain to thinking like, the only reason they're this mad and saying these things is because they don't understand X, Y, Z, and they've never been trained on how to handle X, Y, Z. So I need to think about it like, oh, they just don't know. So I'm going to go in and educate them. Or if I need to admit fault, we admit fault, take ownership. So it was literally me having to like, put the situation itself aside and like peel the onion and figure out like, what's the real reason for the situations. And so when things get hard or stressful, the worst thing you can do is avoid it. Like you got to just like, it's like the buffaloes like story, whenever it's storming, they run into the storm. So that way they can get through it faster. That's the kind of way I had to take it on, is like, man, conflict is just like a part of it. And you got to just run right to it. And if your heart is in the right place, your core values are in the right place, and the intention is do what's right, solve this one, then move on to the next, then move on to the next. Like it starts to put your stress, at ease a little bit. Like I'm not saying it doesn't get hard. It's certainly hard. There's plenty of days. Last week was hard, and I thank goodness I'm like, well, me and one of my good friends, Chad Peterman, will talk about this. Like there's a lot of chapters in a book, and that just happened to be a hard chapter, but it was just setting me up for the really good next chapter, and there's going to be more hard chapters in the book on the end, all the way to the end of the story, which is going to be great. So it's just kind of how you like self-talk, talk to yourself, or, and I have a hard time. I don't know if this happens to you, Sean, but like, I'm not great at talking about my issues or problems, because I don't want to be a burden on someone else. Like, I just keep it. And the best way I can release that is to go and do things like, I used to run all the events and stuff. It was like, I got to keep working on my mental fortitude, and I don't love to run, but hey, I control myself. So if I can go and run this race, it's going to force me to do the things I don't want to do. So I'm telling myself, my brain, no, man, like, I'm in control. I'm in control. Like, I'm the one that finished this race, didn't do any training. I'm the one that finished these obstacles, and I wanted to compete. And when I'm done, I'm like, yeah, like, as much as it sucked, I'm like, no, I'm still good. Like, I still got some good mental strength here. Like, I can get myself through anything. And that would give me reassurance. The problem is, you see a bunch of them, because I kept having to go through that quite a bit over the years.
Well, and it's a never-ending thing. Like, if we could just run one marathon and have enough motivation, mental fortitude to get through the rest of our lives, then that'd be pretty easy. That's the thing, is like, you got to keep getting up every day and showing up. And momentum's a real thing, man. Like, if you just stop doing hard stuff in your personal life, would you be more vulnerable to stress and adversity in your business life? Probably. You know, that's why, like, I actually enjoy working out. I enjoy running, although I can't do it now because my knee's busted. And I enjoy it most of all because the feeling when you complete the challenge, you battle with yourself, especially when you're running or you're doing Spartan races. Like, how many times are you having a negative thought and you have to course correct, or you're like just getting pessimistic, or like you have to train your mind to see the good even in the difficult times. And that's powerful because you do that in business all day long. You were just alluding to that when you're putting out fires or you're delegating or you're scaling. It's like being able to retrain yourself to think differently, talk to yourself differently, so you alter your perspective to get the desired result and to get there with the least amount of friction and resistance as possible. And so let's talk about fitness. I know, a little bit ago, before we started recording, you're like, man, I've been hitting the gym every day, 4:30 to 5:30. Sound like it's a powerful outlet for you. Has it always been that way, or do you think more so recently working out has become something that you look forward to doing?
Yeah, man, it wasn't. And I think when I recognize, I think it's a very pivotal moment, like, in my life today, was this move. But I'm going to take one step back. I learned a really cool, like, analogy from this amazing human being. I went to this event called Rise Up Kings, and it was like a event in Dallas where kind of taught me about 4 pillars. And the reason this is important, because it applies to this, it's why I end up taking action and moving forward with you. It was these, you kind of go, it's kind of psychological. It's like a boot camp type thing, and very physical. And it gave you these 4 pillars, your faith, family, fitness, and finances, or your business. And so I had these 4 pillars, and I'm like, how are you showing up in these 4 pillars of your life? And I'm like, so and I'd have to journal on these things, and I'm holding myself accountable, because who do I have to hold me accountable? And I was failing in my fitness. Like, I was working so hard to build this business when we were going in to find a private equity partner, that my eating, my fit, I've always been kind of a small guy, right? So I've never been like overweight and things like that. But I was starting to get like the Grinch belly, like I got these little skinny legs and there's like the little Grinch belly. And I was like, dude, like, I have neglected my health for so long because I could get away with it. And I was like, man, like, I just don't feel good. And Tommy would tell me, dude, you gotta like fix this and fix that. I'm telling you, like, it'll change. Your brain will be firing differently and you'll get better. And so what this did was it prepared me for what I knew was coming. And I knew these next few years were going to be difficult, right? Because I'm no longer the man in the company, right? I sold it, so I'm no longer the owner. I'm now an investor leading a business, that is an investment, right? So I have to change the way that I'm leading based on what my instruction is, but still be there for the people. Well, then when this thing gets to 200 and 300 and 400 people, the game has changed. And I was like, I have to be prepared for this. And I was like, I'm just going to start with doing the one thing that I don't like to do. Now, I'm not a guy that gets up in the morning and works out. I'm not that guy. I enjoy the 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. workout because in the morning is when I am like the sharpest. And as soon as I got on the supplements, like I was like, boom, man, I felt like I was just firing on all cylinders and I was working out. And I get up at 5:30 because I don't want to get up at 5:30 a.m. and I'm just like, I let my brain do its thing. And that's like the most productive hour and a half in the morning before my kids get up for school, like where I'm just firing all cylinders. So I don't want to do that in the gym. I'll be distracted. I want my gym time to be my gym time. And so but I'm doing this because I was like, okay, Sean's been on me. Tommy, spoke highly of you. I remember seeing you guys speak, and I was like, okay, like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to freaking jump. I was sitting next to Dr. J at the last home service freedom thing. Like I was sitting next to him during this one exercise, and I didn't realize sitting next to Dr. J. So I just I said, I'm like, it's either, day one or one day, and I'm like, today's day one. So let's let it rip. And literally, like, I told Matt, who's my fitness coach, and I said, dude, you won't have to stay on me. Like, I'll probably ignore some of the shit that you say, but you'll never have to. Like, it's not because I'm trying to ignore you. It is just, no, like, I am on it. Like, you'll see. Keep checking my app. You'll see. And when I miss things, I'll tell you why I missed them. If I ate wrong, I'll tell you why I ate wrong. Like, I'll always be transparent with you because the pictures don't lie. But the whole point was, I didn't want to do it, so I just did it. But now it's not this one-off event. Now it's every day because there's days, Sean, when I do not want to go to the gym. I do not. Most of the time I do, thankfully. Like I look forward to it because I see how I'm changing. I see how I'm feeling. But trust me, there's days when I do not want to go. And those are the days where when I'm done, I'm like, those are the mental challenges I got to overcome. Like it's easy to go on the days you want to go. It's hard to go on the day you don't want to go. And so I get more of those like mental fortitude exercises when those days happen. So I'm grateful for them because at the end I'm like, damn, I just finished this hour and a half of all these sets and Sean's adding weight and adding, reps. And I'm like, damn, dude, give me a heads up next time you added that one. So I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, it's about pushing you, and I got a great team at Unstoppable 365. I mean, Dr. J and what he can do as far as the blood work and providing supplements is a game changer. Because I think right when you started taking the supplements he was sending you, you messaged me and you're like, man, I have so much energy.
Yep.
Like, and you notice it in your mental bandwidth, your creativity. Like you just feel like you hit that next level. And for business owners and entrepreneurs, like we just kind of drain ourselves. We push through it. Like you were alluding to earlier, you just work through it. But then when you feel better, you perform better. So I loved hearing that. And then seeing how dedicated you've been, man. And I didn't know until now, like timing's very important with a number of things, right? But the timing of us connecting, you really taking your health and fitness seriously, it sounds like it's been perfect timing for you with a lot of the stuff you have on your plate. I love hearing that so much because I know how valuable and impactful fitness, eating right, supplementation can be on your mindset, on just your overall morale, and because like you got kids, man, you got a wife, you got a lot of people that depend on you and you can't neglect yourself. You got to invest into yourself. You got to prioritize yourself every day so you can show up for them. I think a lot of times too, that's a mindset shift for people. Like they're so used to just grinding in their business, building their business. And then like, they don't realize that they're bringing a lesser version of themselves home or into their leadership positions than they should be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's like, we didn't really talk about a whole bunch, but, I have 4 kids, like from an age range of 25 to 10. So I have all this stuff's going on while I'm, raising a family. Right. And my wife is in this business too. So we're both in it. But, one of these commitments I always made was I always wanted to be a good dad. And I did not want to miss things. My dad missed stuff for me, and I always hated that. So I was like, I'll never be that. My mom is amazing. My mom was awesome. Like was there for everything. My mom retired from my company, which is pretty cool. And I love my dad, but I'm just saying like, he just missed things. And I was like, dude, I'm never going to miss things. And as the book company grew, like I would take red eyes home to catch, 6-year-old, soccer game. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they might not even remember, but I know. And so now you miss some things. Like there's no way to avoid that when you're scaling it like we've been, but it's very minimal. And my kids today will tell you, oh no, man, my dad like makes everything. Like he makes as much as he possibly can. They would never be like, oh, he misses stuff. Even if I missed 1 or 2 games, it happens.
Yeah.
And to me, that's as important to me, right? But I have to provide for my family is like, I feel this like I am the one, like I have to provide. Now Anna feels the same way, but together we're like, well, how do we do all these things at the same time? We got this kid playing this sport and this kid playing this sport. This was on a travel team. I got one that's in the, now it's in the Air Force. It's like all these things are happening, yet we're still scaling this company and trying to do all these things. So if you think you're busy, like change that script in your head too, because I promise you there are plenty of people busier doing more and okay. And so now squeezing in an hour to hour and a half workout every day into that agenda, you make time for the things that are important to you. And the health,
100%.
the health journey that I'm on right now, I've never it's helped me across the board, dude. Like all of those pillars I just told you about, my family, like how's it make you a better family? I'm making better choices that I eat. We hired a chef, and it's because Tommy has a chef. And I'm like, dude, how are you getting like all these food? Like you don't, otherwise you just order stuff out. You're kind of like throwing stuff together. You're not eating healthy. And so I was like, well, we hired a chef, comes in on Monday, makes all of our food for the week. It's great.
Yep.
And just little things like that, but it keeps me like, the supplements, I cannot believe how fast the supplements hit me. Like they hit me fast on like, I could physically tell I was waking up and I was just firing faster. And I was like, I don't want to lose that, man. So I'm going to work out in the afternoons because these mornings are great.
Yeah. You built a system in your personal life the way you built a system in your business, which is so important. Like how easy was it to hire the chef? You said 1 day a week and they prepare all your food, like game changer. And I think about the example you set for your children, even though they are a little older now, like they see dad working out, dad eating healthier. I mean, you got a 10-year-old, right? What, 10, 14? What are the ages?
Yeah, 10, 14, 18, 25.
Yeah, even your 25-year-old, right? Is that the one that joined the Air Force or 18?
Yep.
Like he comes home, on leave or whatever. He sees dad looking all fit. He's like, damn, like he's a young man. That's going to inspire him. And so what you said there is very important. When you make these important changes, at first it might seem subtle, but it starts to bleed into all areas of your life, like the food you're eating, the time you're spending with your family, all those little details that you just alluded to, those micro details start to change. And you really have to create a system that you live off of, that you live by at home, just like in your business, like the 4:30 workouts, right? Hey, I get up in the morning, I got mental bandwidth. That's what I'm focusing on, all my creativity. You start to create that ultimate life by design, where everything's intentional, everything that you're doing has an impact. And the other thing you said is very important. If it's not important to you, there's no meaning there, you're not going to do it consistently. And I think that's the hardest part to get, I don't want to say guys like you, but let's just say business owners or people that are busy to understand is like the value in fitness. It's not just so you can show off your abs. Cool. That's an added benefit. There has to be deeper meaning there to the point where you're going to do it every day. And if it's allowing you to get through a tough season in business and the stress is getting to you, but that workout just alleviates it a little bit so you can get through each day, right? Or you notice your boys are looking at you differently. Like, Dad, you're looking great. I want to be like you. Or who knows? Maybe it brings even more of a spark into your relationship with your wife, whatever it is. I'm always striving to get people to make those connections with the important areas of their life and people, because that's how a routine in the gym becomes a habitual way of life. And that's when it really changes so much for the better long term.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think about it when you're going in. At least I didn't. When you're going in to get fit, it was just I'm going in to get fit because I got to start. But you don't realize how much it actually impacts like all phases of your life. It's pretty cool, man. To be my kids see how hard I work or how hard Anna works in our business. There's no question. So they see the work ethic piece of it. But now they're seeing like, oh, Dad's going to the gym, every day. And I tell them the days I don't want to go, I tell them I don't want to go. And that's on purpose because I still go. and I still go and do it, because there's days that Mason may not want to go to football practice because it's 110 degrees outside here in Phoenix, and he doesn't want to go out there and do that. And he needs to see me working through it too. And just like we would do in our business, when our business struggled, we talked about it in front of them so they could understand the struggles that we go through and how we work through it. Now, they might not understand the what, it is, but they recognize the situation. And we did that intentionally so that way they would see and understand, like, oh, like, my parents go through this all the time, but they always work through it and get it figured out. And that's kind of what we're hoping to build in their autopilot is that.
Yeah, I love that, man. And to go back briefly to what you said about taking red eyes and not missing stuff, like I think that's one of the most admirable traits and qualities. Like, I think it's really cool that you built such a massive business, but honestly, I have more respect for you as an individual for that, for like being that present father, because there's a lot of guys that have tons of money and cool cars and, badass suits and stuff like that. But like, are you really there for your children? I don't know. For me, I think it's like the most important thing. I'm the same way. I was thinking about that. My kids have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and I carved out time in the middle of the day, put appointments aside and stuff because I want to be there. Like, my kids are still younger, but dude, I value that time with them so much because look at your kids. You got a 25-year-old, man. And I hear all the time, like, it goes quick. I just had a baby girl and she's 5 months already. I'm like, where did that 5 months go? It's half a year almost.
Yeah, dude, that's great. I remember your hat because you're on the podcast the same week.
Yeah. Yeah. This time flies by. So, being the example for them and being there with them, I think that's I love it. A lot of parents aren't. I grew up with parents that weren't there for me. So it's a personal thing for me as well, man. And, just appreciate everything you shared today. I think it's very valuable for other business owners to hear someone who's had the success that you've had to, like, you want to be savvy in business. You want to build the empire. Hell yeah, go out and do it. But don't neglect your health and don't miss out on this precious time with your children and your wife because they go quick. And there's a lot of guys that are older than you even who look back with regrets. That's like, let's end on that too. Like, because I don't want to have regrets when I'm older. So I'm trying to do everything now to assure that doesn't happen. We probably all will. It's inevitable. But it sounds like you're of the same mindset, man. Like everything you're doing is to look back one day and go, dude, I did it the right way in all areas of life.
Yeah, I 100%. I'll tell you this. Like, there's this thing that we all make posts and I always put hashtag memory dividends. I have friends and their goal is to make, tons of money. But at what cost, right? Like, to me, what's important to me is, did I want to create great wealth for me and my family? Yeah, I did. And we were able to do that and continue to be able to do that, but not at the expense of my family. I was not willing. That was my non-negotiable was, I had to give up some things in business and opportunities because I didn't want to miss something with my family. Yesterday, perfect example. My 10-year-old was going to audition for like a musical. So she was going to sing and she'd been practicing the same song over and over and over and over again. And I had to hear it. She's 10. Okay. Yeah. So I make sure I'm home yesterday when she gets home from school. Cause I knew she was doing the audition after school. When she came home, like, we've been working on it, like she's going to work. I'm taking her to soccer practice. She's singing the song over and over again. So when she got home, I was there. I was there for her to walk in and tell me how great it went. And she was excited and she practiced so much. And I boosted her. I'm like, hey, listen, you're ready. Like, so she knew going into, I'm like, you're ready. You're doing so good. So she went in confident, but we worked on that. Right. And then when she came home, I was there for her to tell me. Now it was over in 10 minutes, right? The story was over in 10 minutes. And then I went, into my office and got more work done, but I was there for her to tell me. Like, those are the things, man, that stick. And it took me 10 minutes, man, or 15 minutes of my time just to make that sure that she knew it was as important to me as it was to her. And, and I do all this stuff at the same time, but I'm not motivated to be, I have a number in my mind of what I want my net worth to be, but how I get there is, I could have gotten there faster, but at what cost? Like you mentioned, we do so much stuff. We are a very tight family. We do so much together as a family because I want, like, if at the end of my life, my family talks to me, they want to be near me, my kids, my grandkids, and all that stuff. Well, then I've done my job. Like I've done what I want to do. Now I like to have the financial piece of it to do whatever is the things that we want to do. But that's just so we can do the things we want to do. Like, and that is stuff with our family, right? And go and create this life for our family. And that doesn't mean I want to leave a bunch of money to my kids. If I have money left over, great. Like they still kind of got to earn their own way a little bit, right? But
if I that's a whole nother dilemma, right? Like
a whole other deal.
Do I leave them a bunch or do I make them earn it? But that's a good problem to have. And I think, we want to win in all areas. We want to have our health, our relationships, enough money and net worth to do whatever we want and to have nothing off limits. And there's no reason that you can't win in all areas. Like you said, yeah, it might take a little longer, but I'd rather it take a little longer than look back with regrets. And all of a sudden my youngest is 18. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, just like I said a little bit ago, that 5 months flew by fast. I know one day I'm going to go, oh my gosh, that last 18 years flew by. And I see it, my oldest daughter, she turned 6 the other day. And I was like, a couple months ago, actually, I was like, 6, man, you're like becoming a bigger kid now. Like, what the heck? But no, man, it's so cool to hear you share this stuff. Because again, it depicts your character too. Like, I don't know if it's just the values and the way you were brought up, maybe being close to family, working side by side like that. And just some of the beliefs and values your parents instilled into you. But it's really cool to see you having such close bonds with your children, your wife, building the company you have and taking care of your employees like they're your family too. It's a testament to you, man. And that's why I'm so fired up to see you working out like you are, taking care of yourself, feeling the way you are. Like, that makes me so happy to know that we crossed paths for a reason. Yep. I stayed persistent with you, right? Like, I don't know if you remember in Orlando when Tommy introduced me, when I spoke, I did a keynote, right? And he's like, this guy is so freaking persistent, but I'm glad he was. And dude, that's the thing. Like, for you have a product, helps business owners. Well, I know my product can help, let's say 99% of the people that I come across, So first and foremost, it's because I truly care. Like you said this earlier, money's secondary, third, fourth on the list, whatever. For me, it's like knowing that the way you're feeling, dude, honestly, and the way that carries over into the time with your family and just your overall leadership and the impact you have, that's what I freaking love. I truly do. And so I'm excited, dude, to grow Unstoppable 365, help more men like you, continue, like you are, man, on this journey. We want it all. We want to live the ultimate life. And speaking of that too, I'm going to see you August 21st and 2nd. You're going to be in Dallas, right? At Win the Storm.
That's right. I'll be out.
You're doing a keynote. So we're going to be speaking there. Dr. J will be with me. Matt will be there. So I don't think you've met Matt in person.
Nope.
If we have time to squeeze in a workout, otherwise it'll just be cool to see you. And then Tommy's event's like 2 weeks later. You're going to be in Vegas, I'm sure. Yeah. So we'll finish the year strong. Like, for me, I haven't traveled much the last year because Bella was being born. My wife had a tough pregnancy. So I actually got pretty comfortable not traveling a bunch. It was kind of cool for a little bit.
It's dangerous, man.
Like no red eyes home, right? Like no jet lag, but it's part of the biz. It's part of what we do. It's part of the impact. I'm excited to hit some stages and shake some hands and connect with some people in person, dude. So thank you for coming on here to share a little bit about yourself and your journey. Can't wait to see you later this month, man. Is there anything else you want to share? Let's say it's somebody who's operating a business right now, who want to get to the level you're at, or just wants to progress in their own life. Any words of wisdom or final takeaways for the audience?
Yeah, man, I'll just say, I said it earlier, and you'll hear Tommy say this, it's either day one, or one day, and choose one day. I mean, choose day one. And I'll say, like, the one thing I always say I end every one of my podcasts like this, and this is just a mindset thing. And it's, I say no 0 days. And what I mean by no 0 days is, it doesn't mean you have to do something professionally every single day to make yourself better. Don't look at it like that. It could be professionally or personally. Just do something that makes you, 0.5% better every single day. And that could be something as simple as you don't hit snooze. Like you made the bed, like you kicked off the day with you completing something, you won something, but do something for yourself every single day. And when you kind of build that mindset, like I think about those things, what am I going to do today that makes me better when I wake up tomorrow, like anything. And when you adopt that mindset, you kind of apply it to everything in your life. Something as simple as I walk by, I notice something on the floor. I might usually just walk past it. Now I pick it up, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And it's something as simple as that. But choose day one and go to work.
Yeah, I love that. Winners win, right? I heard Bradley share this in one of his keynotes. He's like, dude, like winners win. He goes, well, who decides what winning is and what winning isn't? Like, he goes, you decide. Like, I decide. He goes, I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I'm winning, because everyone wants to have good breath and white teeth. He goes, like, yeah, I see a piece of trash on the floor, I pick it up, throw it away, I'm winning. So all day long, every little thing he's doing, as long as he does it intentionally to the best of his ability, he's like, I'm winning. I'm stacking those wins. By the time it's 10 a.m., like, I'm unstoppable, man. And I think a lot of people put so much pressure on themselves. And I don't know about you, man. Like, yeah, we have lofty goals, but you almost have to like trick yourself to not feel like, there's so much pressure on the journey for a lot of people. You have to almost like train yourself to not see it that way, and break it down to just smaller, like, micro goals and little steps along that journey. So that the pressure doesn't get to you, the stress doesn't get to you, because then it just steals your joy, man. You're lacking gratitude, you lose inspiration. Yep. And it's like, what's the point when you get to that place?
So, goal's too big, can't get there. You got to break it down.
Yeah. So brush your teeth, don't hit snooze, hit a workout, drink 30 ounces of water in the morning when you wake up. All those little things, Chris, take your vitamins and your supplements from Dr. Shea. All those things add up, man. There you go, so cool, man. Chris Yano, you guys, RYNO Strategic Solutions, the OG marketing, we'll call it company, right? Movement. It's like, of the trades. Appreciate you being here, man. Can't wait to see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it, bro. I can't wait to see you guys and actually work out with you.
Yeah, it's going to be badass.
See you, bro.
All right, brother.